This plant is known as Clivia miniata Variegata. Actually, it's probably a different type of cultivar than Variegata. I sent this to one of my Clivia friends and he's like, well, it looks like Shimu Fa cultivar on one side and more of the duck variation on the next side. So I'm not even actually quite sure what the cultivar of this is. I actually bought this at an orchid show now, I would say 2 years ago. And this is actually my second Clivia that I have. I have a regular Clivia that doesn't have any type of variegation whatsoever in the house. And I'm growing one a little bit underneath my southwest facing window or towards my southwest facing window in my one room. And this is actually growing in my northeast facing window in a little bit more moderate light in my kitchen space. And some of my friends who are really into Clivia have it down to a science, and I have to profess, I'm not one of those people, but ideally this plant will be going into dormancy somewhere between October and around February. February is when it starts to bud, and March is actually when it starts to flower. And typically, the Clivia flowers are a little bit more of an orange bloom, but you could get them if you see them in like a little bit more yellow. They have some other colors, but typically it's a little bit more of an orange bloom. And these are native, I didn't say this, but they are native to South Africa, a little bit more of the Swaziland area. And there are, like I said, lots of different cultivars. This one I thought was really striking. Typically the Clivia leaves grow larger and they kind of have this like shape that kind of rainbow outwards on both sides, but this variegated version is actually a dwarf or kind of a smaller version, or so I've been told. So this is not going to get that kind of size or scale that the normal green-leaved varieties will get. As far as fertilizing goes, a lot of people kind of treat them a little bit differently, maybe a 20-10-20, a 20-20-20. It also depends on if they're going to be flowering. Sometimes somebody will hit them with a little bit more of a bloom booster. So in the NPK value, you'd probably get a little bit more higher on the phosphorus side. And as far as soil goes, my friends like to use a little bit more of a peaty, sphagnum-y, kind of like orchid bark mix, because you typically see Clivia a little bit more in the leaf litter on the forest floor. So if you could get a little bit more of something that looks like that, you could see that this one has a little bit of that, a little bit of bark, a little bit of stones, a little bit of peat, a little bit of sphagnum, then that's probably going to be better for this plant. Again, don't take these things as gospel, take it as a guide for growing. This is how I'm growing my Clivia as well. And you know, there's wonderful experts that are out there specifically on these plants. So if you're growing them in a specific kind of way, if you take them outside during the summer months, let us know. Tell me in the comments and share how you're growing your Clivia.